Oscar and Ryan have been feuding from 2019, 2020. Ryan was supposed to headline a DAZN card. He pulled out because he didn't think he was getting paid enough. Oscar aired him out. Ryan decided not to fight at July the 4th bout. Virgil Ortiz stepped into headline instead. Ryan was calling Oscar a hater. He's supposed to be my promoter, not a hater. That was around 2020. Canelo left around 2020, I believe, as well. Ryan, I believe, thought a lot of money was going into Oscar's pocket from the DAZN deal, and perhaps Oscar was snaking him. Canelo thought that Oscar offered him up to DAZN to fight Triple G without Canelo's consent, and that's where it seemed to go left for them two. So we get up to date. Ryan takes his first L against Gervonta Davis in April. Post-fight, Oscar claimed he was getting death threats, so he didn't show up at the presser. Ryan has expressed his annoyance and irritation that he wasn't there. He said he felt he had greater support from Tank Davis's team than his own, and that didn't sit well with Oscar. Oscar said, "It's been almost 2 months and you're still crying about the post-presser. The blame for your loss is on you and your advisor, Guadalupe Valencia. He is the only one who pushed you to accept the insane rehydration clause, and that is the reason you lost. Man up. Own that. Also, you keep saying Tank's team offered more support for you, blah, blah, blah. Bro, they set you up to lose with that rehydration clause, and most importantly, Al Heyman didn't even show up the entire week. Actually, he never shows up. How's that for support?" Ryan's pissed off now. "Okay, buddy, you got it all figured out. Tired of you disrespecting my whole career, and you think none of it matters. Loyalty and common sense is lost in your head. Stop treating people that way and think they will accept it." Ryan Garcia signed a contract extension in 2019, and that will run through to the end of 2026. The article is pointing to the botched Masito Jester fight he was supposed to have on January the 28th to tune himself up to fight Tank in April. Ryan said, very arrogantly, it has to be said, that he only signed up for the big fights. Pre-fight, Oscar, how much? 5'6" weight champion, wherever it is. Pre-fight, he said Ryan should have took the tune-up fight. Even his opponent, Tank, said he should have took the tune-up. Tank had his tune-up fight that same month in January against Hector Garcia. Post-fight, Oscar has repeated his disappointment that Ryan didn't take that fight. Oscar putting the loss down to the rehydration clause. I'm not so sure about that. I'm not so sure. I think the rehydration clause was insecurity on Tank and his team's behalf. Yes, indeed. But Tank is not a guy who sets a high tempo. He doesn't fight a physical fight where a rehydration clause would really take its toll. And I think Ryan being 24, it's young, isn't it? I'm not sure how much it really took a toll on him. Yeah, he would have been stronger with a couple of extra pounds. Yes, he would. He would. But he lost, for the most part, because Tank was too skilled. He looked way more seasoned in there. Ryan didn't lose in the ring, per se. That's where the loss ended. That was the definitive point of the loss. But he lost when he didn't take that fight in 2019 because he wasn't getting paid enough. He lost after he beat Luke Campbell in the Eliminator and didn't take his title shot against Devin. If he did have mental health issues, I can't play hard ass and say, just suck it up. Nah, but it's a loss. It's a loss either way. That's another loss then if he had that. Not taking the tune-up is a loss. He lost arguing with Eddie Reynoso and Canelo and walking out of the gym. Eddie Reynoso won't take him back now. He's gone to Derek James. The fight was lost a long time before that. He celebrated the Luke Campbell victory, which was an eliminator, like he won a world title. He put a crown in his head. You won an eliminator. You're not king of the division. Why are you wearing a crown? You got to be rugged in this sport, man. Like, the old school values don't go anywhere. I know a lot of young people might not want to hear that, but the old school values don't go anywhere. You got to be rugged. That fight against Tank wasn't for a title. You didn't lose a world title fight. It was a fight you lost. Get over it. It's nearly 2 months ago. There's journeymen who lost the same month as Ryan Garcia who've had 4 or 5 fights since, and maybe lost all 4 and 5 of them. I don't hear them complaining. Even the elite fighters of the past, you take an L, well, for a start, you don't have social media to bleed your heart out about it to. You don't have fanboys doing damage control for you. You go to your promoter and say, yo, when's the next fight? And you know what your promoter's going to say to you? Well, you're probably not going to get paid where you got paid last time because you lost. And you got to get on with it. I think he should get his head down with Derek James. Don't argue with Oscar no more. Not in public anyway. Stop doing that. Stop arguing with people in public like your trainer and your promoter. Stop doing that. Watch how Errol Spence and AJ conduct themselves as pros. Start soaking up game. I don't know if it's too late for Ryan to salvage his career. I'm not too sure. I'm finding it hard not to dislike Ryan, and a lot of it is probably out of his hands why I dislike the guy. But the fact he's going to get a title shot after getting knocked out, and the guy he's fighting who holds the belt, he got a title shot after getting knocked out. They both got knocked out by Tank. I just think it's the worst thing for Ryan, for them to give him that type of privilege, and they're not going to make him work for it, win an eliminator, fight O'Hara Davis. Bring O'Hara across the pond, or you come over here and fight O'Hara for that fight. He gets too much privilege and gets away with too much, and it's not going to serve him in the end. It's not going to serve him because all the lessons, when he messes up, he's not learning them. He's got someone to bail him out. He's got politics to get him a next world title shot. More than likely, Ryan will never be shit in boxing. Pressure is pressure. Old school boxers, the pressure was to put dinner on the table for their families. That's a lot of pressure. The pressure for modern day fighters is a little different. The pressure is anyone who fights on Golden Boy, Matchroom, PBC, Top Rank, or BT, or even Wasserman, or anything. You know what I mean? Like, even the Fight Zone card. Because if something out of the ordinary happens on a Fight Zone card, it's recorded, it's online, and it could trend in a second. The pressure now is there is no escape. Every time you fuck up in this era here, there is no escape. A big percentage of the world are going to see it. Let's say you get knocked out and the punch makes you somersault 5 times over your back. Something really bizarre. It's going to trend. There is no escape for boxers. There is no, okay, you took a bad defeat. There is no obscure world where you can go off and have some obscure fights where you can get your confidence back. You don't get that. Once your name has built up a certain degree of notoriety, you can't get that. It's gone. Yeah. If you didn't have that small hall apprenticeship where you had 20 fights or so in relative obscurity, well, once you get to a certain degree of notoriety, you can never have it. You can never have it. I wish Tunde Ajayi, what I mean? Like, he was obviously enthusiastic because he had Eubank Sr. in him and Spencer's presence on the interview. But Eubank was just going to break down why it's no good to fast track people, and he was going to use Anthony Joshua as an example, and Tunde interrupted his flow and we didn't get to hear what he was going to say. But we've had this discussion several times and we're going to have it again now. Like, there's debates where people say, since he was fast tracked, why doesn't he go back and take them apprenticeship fights now? Just have several fights against low key opponents. Well, the truth is, Anthony Joshua can't have low key fights. He can't. He can't have low key fights. Any fights he has, the press are going to turn up. Even if he fights the 50th ranked heavyweight in the world or the 100th ranked heavyweight, that guy turns into a celebrity overnight. He becomes a name. He quits his building site job and he gets a full camp. He treats it like a world title fight. The press treats it like a world title fight. Like the Jermaine Franklin fight. His first fight back since losing to Usyk. A lot of people were saying, oh, look, the tickets are going really slow. Tickets are going slow. He's not the same no more. And then, as the fight started to approach, it just became Anthony Joshua world. Because the Usyk Fury fight fell through. Wilder didn't have nothing on the schedule. Tickets all of a sudden sold out. Premium price tickets at that. And it's this massive event. Yeah, Dillian hasn't been in the ring since he got knocked out by Tyson Fury. But if he fights AJ in August, you know what a lot of you are going to say? They don't want to see the fight. They're going to stream it. But, you know, a lot of people with that mentality, they will stream undisputed fights or the fights they claim they want to see. They'll stream anything anyway. That's who they are. Not having a go at them, that's just who they are. You know, looking at Michael Conlan. Last week, the boxer that kept flashing in my head was Michael Conlan after he lost. I watched his brother, the body language of the team, and Michael after the loss. And that empty look I'm seeing in his eyes, and that's the same thing I saw last week, that look in his eyes. Yeah, he's a little concussed, obviously, but it's a little beyond that, isn't it? It's like, what just happened? He said he's going to take his time, take proper time to determine his future in the sport. His second attempt at a world title in Belfast, his hometown. And it says here, he and Adam Booth had comprised a game plan to outbox Lopez. But when the fight started, Conlan came out very aggressive and took the fight to the champion. He believes the quick, aggressive pace was the downfall of the fight. He says, look how I started aggressive. When do I start aggressive? That was nothing to do with Lopez. It was myself and how I approach things, is what Conlan told Belfast media. I don't know why, but it's all down to me and the mistakes I initially made within those first few seconds. That was ultimately the downfall. He's 31, they're saying he still has lucrative options like a rematch with Wood, a showdown with Warrington. A lot of this is down to the spotlight. You know, like, it's pressure. It's pressure. When I watched him box, I said, this is even pressure from the rowdy Belfast crowd. They want to see Conlan put it to the guy, you know. Had the game plan in his head with Adam Booth. Then he hears the rapturous reception from the crowd. Game plan goes out the window. Goes out the window. Also, there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure. He hasn't won that world title. He was touted to have this super fight with Shakur Stevenson, even before he threw a professional punch. And it hasn't manifested. It's a lot of pressure. He's seen Shakur go on to become a two-weight champion. It's pressure. Not to put food on the table, but to live up to the hype. So what's the checklist for Michael? 31 years of age. Relatively old for a featherweight, even in 2023. Expectation. Was touted to win world titles when he signed to Top Rank around 2016. Hometown crowd going crazy over there in Belfast. They want him to dispatch this Mexican ASAP. Let's not forget, Michael also got knocked out last year. But here he is, fighting a Mexican for the IBF belt. How did he get here? Is he over the knockout defeat to Lee Wood? Is he over that? It was just barely a year ago. You got to remember the game plan as well that you devised with your coach. Got to remember that. With the crowd going nuts. With the psychological repercussions of the knockout defeat last year. Yeah, that's quite a list, you know. Oh, yeah. Your opponent is a bad man. I like Michael Conlan. I don't know what he does. I have a policy where I'm obliged not to offer the opinion of retirement for boxers. I try not to break it. I don't think I've broke it. Maybe sarcastically I broke it, but I've never, with any sincerity, ever said that a boxer should retire. And I'm not going to do that here either. So they're talking about Dan AZEEZ versus Joshua BUATSI, August the 5th. In this article they say, well, it's not the Anthony Yard mega fight. Well, after that purse bid fiasco with Ben Shalom, we have to ask, is he ready to play in them big boy leagues? Negotiate a fight between Anthony Yarde and Joshua BUATSI, where more than likely BUATSI doesn't have the same market value as Anthony Yarde. And if Frank or any representative of BT or Queensbury were to say, well, the fight does more over here, it makes more sense it be over here than over your side there. Yarde is the more valuable commodity. What's Ben going to say? Is he going to make the stupid argument that BUATSI is the A side? Well, he's not. Almost everybody online who I saw responding to his post that Fraser Clark is the A side over Fabio Wardley disagreed with him vehemently. So I'm not sure when we'll be seeing a fight like that anytime soon. But Dan AZEEZ versus Joshua BUATSI, very good domestic clash. I can almost guarantee it will be a better fight aesthetically to look at than Chris Billion-Smith versus Lawrence Okoli, and I very much look forward to it. August the 5th. I haven't seen no reports from anywhere else on Boxing Social or BBTV or any other British sites or channels. I haven't seen any other reports. Maybe No Smoke got some intel. Once again, I'm going to brag that in my prediction video for a fight that never materialized between Anthony Joshua, who was unified champion at the time, and Jarrell Miller, was that Jarrell Miller would either be disqualified or he's going to pop for PEDs before he gets in the ring. And man, did he pop for PEDs! And Eddie Hearn couldn't fuck with him no more. Bob Arum decided to give him the old Biggie Smalls one more chance. Arum, give him one more. Enough of that. His first fight with Top Rank was supposed to be with Jerry Forrest. The fight didn't get into the ring because Jarrell Miller popped again. He's been in the wilderness ever since, but Tyson Fury's issues, that's all I'm going to say, issues, have left him in this strange, in a position where it's near impossible to negotiate a fight with him. And the public are pointing at him for why these fights are not being made, whether it's with Usyk or Anthony Joshua. Nobody takes his call-outs serious no more. They don't.
And he weren't going to be ready. So he wasted a lot of time on that. And I don't want to waste a lot of time on this one. You know, and it's not about putting deadlines down before all the people start, you know, banging the keyboards and so forth. It's about trying to get, you know, we've got dates to put fights on and we've got to work towards those dates. You can't keep dragging it out and dragging it out. But, you know, to their credit, they've said what their position is. That AJ doesn't want to do it. He wants to, I don't know if he's going to fight in August. I shouldn't think. If they're concerned about the big money fight in December, you've got to assume that he's going to fight, you know, somebody who they feel pretty happy about as an opponent.
Fair enough.
But, you know, look, even as we sit here now, for me, I wish AJ would change his mind. Because 2 years ago when we were putting this together and there was all talk about it going on in Saudi, everybody was up in arms about that. This fight should be in Britain. Well, here's an opportunity to put it on in Britain. Let's try and do it, boys.
Frank is asking AJ to reconsider. Desperation. Real desperation. Like, you're watching a sinking ship and you're wondering if Tyson is deliberately trying to sabotage Frank and Bob now. What's going on? So, can't play the video or audio because Jarrell Miller's got this 50 Cent joint in the back. And I ain't getting my shit shut down. Miller calls out Tyson Fury. He wants a shot at the WBC title. Now, I ignored it. Yeah, he's bound to ask for that because, like, he needs the work. I heard he's fighting on Floyd's next exhibition on the undercard. But you don't have to do no PED testing for that because it is what it is. It's an exhibition. So I ignored it. And then Tyson Fury is considering it. Next thing on TalkSport, fighting Jarrell Miller. And you have to wonder now, has Tyson Fury just lost the plot totally? Like, for one, I know Frank is desperate. I mean, he wanted AJ to bail out his business, so he's desperate. But would Frank put Jarrell Miller on a BT card, knowing that he's already popped on a DAZN Macron card, he's already popped on a ESPN Top Rank card. ESPN Top Rank. That's Bob Arum. Bob Arum said, out. Bob Arum exclusive. Jarrell Miller will be dropped from his contract to never fight on a Top Rank show again after fresh positive PED test. And listen, this guy is no shame, Tyson Fury, because you got to remember, if you put Jarrell Miller on either network, BT or Top Rank, they're going to have to discuss his past with PEDs. And then who else's past has to come up as well? Tyson Fury's. Great way to attract the sponsors, yeah? Bloody hell. It wouldn't actually surprise me if it happened, you know.